SecurityGuideNews.com, part of the Security Guide TV network, where we talk to you about things relating to your workplace and how it's not going to be good for you in the future, basically. And we have a good story here about biometrics. You guys are hearing all about biometrics and how your ID cards are now possibly going to contain fingerprints. You're going to have fingerprint scanning, eye scanning, things like that. And now people have started to file a lawsuit about these things, as it always happens. And Mr. Sean from Chicago AEI Engineers is going to tell us about that. Sean, so what do you got?
So what's going on right now, and this is specific to Illinois, who has one of the more rigorous biometric privacy legislatures out there. Essentially, United is one of 30 companies that are essentially being sued for the violation of this legislature. And the legislature basically describes that you need to let the employer know that you're collecting the information, why you're collecting the information, how long you're going to retain the information, and that information is specifically associated to biometrics. So the challenge here is that, for organizations and not even organizations, to go as far as like Facebook or anything that's starting to use facial recognition, there's also going to have to be some type of compliance for states that are starting to adopt these biometric privacy laws. And I also think it somewhat ties the hands of organizations that want to leverage biometrics for, preventing retail theft or, seamlessly, doing a single sign-on with their computer systems or what have you. It's another step, but it's important for organizations to know there's a compliance level there that needs to be adhered to.
Now, who is suing? Is the state of Illinois suing United and these other companies?
No, the employees, the United one specifically, there's about 30 of them, but the one that I queued on was United. And apparently this has to do with time clocks and biometrics to basically authenticate and also, basically clock people in and out. They are claiming that violation under the BPIA, Illinois BPIA.
Okay, so let me call malarkey, balderdash, BS on that one. This stuff has been going on with that issue for years. So when I was at Fox, the union came up and said, I know we're in the brand new Fox Network building. I know this is the most state-of-the-art live broadcast network headquarter facility in the world right now because it's brand new. We just built it. And we know we have the most advanced security system available at the time, but we're not going to carry ID cards and use them. Okay. And I went, what? All right. And we went through all kinds of arguments and union meetings and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it turns out the thing they were afraid of was they didn't want to get caught lying about being at work. Okay? Yeah. Well, just because I scanned my ID card doesn't mean I wasn't here. Yeah, kind of does. Kind of does, because the policy says scan your ID, and we got a camera right over here that shows you scanning your ID. So if you weren't on the camera and the ID card, you kind of weren't here. All right? And I got to tell you, this almost, my head blew up later in my security career, but it almost blew it up early because it's just the definition of corruption. All right? So I have no empathy for these airline employees about this. It's a time clock, blah, blah, blah. Just be on time. It's terrible. But let's tie it to something real, which is the biometric file, and let people know how a biometric file works. It's not like a scan of your fingerprint that's a photo of it that stores somewhere. It's a digitized algorithm, basically, that says all these things equal this number. And it's like a giant number, like a big giant integer that says this equals your thumbprint, Sean. And they are required to do
essentially.
Yeah, and they're required to keep it and do things with it. It doesn't say there's not a directory somewhere in the United that says /security /fingerprints /Chuck Harold's fingerprint. That's not how it works, okay? So I'm not too worried about that part of it. Yes, it can be changed and things like that, but you know what? You got 10 fingerprints. So if I ever use biometrics, I don't use the same fingerprint all the time. I never do. So I can see why people are nervous about it, but that's not what that is about. But you did say there's cases in other states. So this is starting to gain momentum, and I hope it doesn't put the industry out of work because that is probably the most secure place we can be is biometrics.
I agree. I think it's another item of knowledge when you're implementing these systems. to make sure that you kind of check the box there, because you certainly don't want to put yourself in a disadvantage as a result of a lawsuit, which would be a knee-jerk reaction when they say just take it all out,
Right.
right?
Right.
But your point, the biometrics takes the fraudulent, timekeeping out of the picture, because you can't give the card to John or what have you to clock you in, right?
Right. Which happens
You
all the
have to
time.
have you got to have your actual biometrics. So minus someone severing their thumb and giving it to them, there's value in that, knowing that person actually did clock in. However, I think it's important to look at some of the broader aspects, right? So I don't know if you've had an opportunity to use Facebook and you take pictures and it automatically tags the people.
Yeah. It takes my cousin, David Harold,
So
as me all the time. And I have to go in there and undo it.
so so it's interesting if they're using any kind of facial, analytics to basically associate those names. And if I'm in Illinois and I use that device and it's capturing biometric information, does that law now apply to Facebook systems? And now, do those terms and conditions, all the documents that we don't read when we
Right.
basically click
Exactly.
accept to run the software, do those terms and conditions actually apply the information, about what Illinois is seeking under their biometric privacy law, and is incorporating other states? So I think, again, when you're in your state, I think it's really good just to jump on your computer, do a quick Google before you're rolling out any biometrics, to avoid, some really ridiculous time with your legal counsel and explaining that would otherwise be trivial.
Excellent advice here on Workplace Wednesday, securitygunnews.com. Tune in next time for another outstanding, short, brief story about something that's going to affect you in security. And pay attention, stay awake, and you'll be safer that way. All right, Sean, we'll see you tomorrow.
Later, Chuck.